The air at Velvet Noir tasted like champagne and lies. A combination that made my head swim as I balanced crystal flutes on my serving tray, weaving through bodies that cost more than my yearly rent. Bass pounded through the soles of my discount work shoes, vibrating up through bone-tired legs as I navigated the main floor toward the VIP section. 9 years of being nobody. 9 years of working myself hollow to keep my 16-year-old sister Lily breathing. And I'd perfected the art of invisibility, until a drunk hedge fund manager grabbed my wrist and decided I was part of the night's entertainment. If you're enjoying this story of survival, unexpected protection, and dangerous second chances, please like and subscribe. Your support helps me bring you more stories like Amy's. Now, back to that moment that changed everything. "Let go," I said quietly, trying to pull free without causing a scene. His cologne was suffocating, expensive, and aggressive. He didn't let go. The club lights pulsed blue and violet around us. People passed by without seeing. This was the moment I'd learned to endure. The price of being a woman serving cocktails to men who believed everything had a purchase price. Then the crowd parted like a sea remembering Moses. And Jeffrey K. Hobson materialized from the shadows like smoke given human form. I'd never seen the owner of Velvet Noir up close before. Only glimpses from a distance. A dark silhouette surrounded by an orbit of dangerous men. But now he stood within arm's reach. His presence commanding enough to make the hedge fund manager's grip go slack. "Hold my arm," Jeffrey said softly. His voice dark and deliberate, pitched low enough that only I could hear. His tattooed hand lifted slightly, an offering, not a demand. "They think you're mine." The words hit like a physical thing, a declaration that shifted the entire room's gravity. I hesitated for only a heartbeat before my fingers found the expensive fabric of his suit sleeve. The muscle beneath was solid, real, radiating heat through the material. And every single eye in Velvet Noir locked on me. The hedge fund manager melted backward into the crowd like he'd never existed. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Even the bartenders paused their movements. Because Jeffrey Hobson didn't extend protection lightly. And he'd just publicly claimed me as under his watch. I didn't know this moment would resurrect my supposedly dead mother. That it would unravel 9 years of carefully constructed lies. That the man whose arm I now held would become my salvation and my greatest risk in equal measure. I didn't know that some men don't ask permission. They simply claim what they want, and dare the world to take it back. For 8 months, I'd been a ghost haunting Velvet Noir's VIP section. Another anonymous server funding experimental cancer treatments, one exhausting shift at a time. My coworker Marissa whispered stories about the club's owner during smoke breaks. How Jeffrey Hobson controlled the city's underworld at 32. How men who crossed him simply disappeared. How his family had old-world connections that made even corrupt cops nervous. I hadn't wanted to know more. I just needed the tips that kept Lily's immunotherapy on schedule. But Jeffrey Hobson had been watching me. He knew my double-shift schedule. Knew which hospital Lily received treatment at. Knew about the worn paperback novels I read during breaks, trying to remember what it felt like to want something beyond survival. When his protection wrapped around me that night, when those 3 softly spoken words made me visible in the most dangerous way imaginable, I realized I'd never been invisible at all. "Amy J. Morales," he murmured as he guided me through the parted crowd, my hand still gripping his arm like a lifeline. His presence beside me was solid, deliberate, radiating controlled power. "You work too hard. You never accept help. And you're about to tell me you can handle this yourself." My heart hammered against my ribs. How do you know my full name? I make it my business to know things. He paused near the bar, his dark eyes finally meeting mine, intense enough to make my breath catch. Especially about people I'm interested in protecting. The word protecting should have comforted me. Instead, it felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, wind at my back, knowing that stepping forward meant falling into something I couldn't control. When he released me at the end of the night, he pressed a card into my palm, a single phone number embossed in black. His driver Marcus appeared beside us, a mountain of a man who moved with surprising grace, and Jeffrey instructed him to take me home. The ride in the blacked-out Mercedes was surreal, smooth, unproofed, a glimpse into a world I'd only served drinks to. But as I clutched that card in my cramped apartment later, listening to Lily's breathing from the other room, one question burned through my exhaustion. Why me? And as Jeffrey's dangerous world began closing around me like velvet and steel, I would discover that some truths are more devastating than any lie. That some mothers abandon their daughters twice. And that the most terrifying risk isn't falling for a man who could destroy you. It's realizing you might finally be willing to trust again. When he said my name, my full name, something I thought I'd buried stirred back to life. My feet had stopped feeling like feet 3 hours ago. Now they were just throbbing anchors keeping me tethered to Velvet Noir's polished floor as I delivered my 100th cocktail of the night. Thursday meant double shifts. Thursday meant an extra $200 toward Lily's immunotherapy bill, the one that had climbed to $43,000 last week. The hedge fund manager caught my wrist as I set down his whiskey. "You're pretty," he slurred. His grip tight enough that I felt my pulse hammering against his fingers. "Hey, have a drink with me. I'm working." I tried to pull back gently. Professional. The kind of resistance that wouldn't cost me my job. His hand squeezed harder. I said stay. The bruise would bloom purple by morning. I'd seen it happen before, to other girls, to myself. This was the moment where you smiled through gritted teeth and waited for him to get bored. Where you calculated whether making a scene was worth losing the tips that kept your sister breathing. Let her go. The voice came from behind me, low, quiet, and somehow louder than the bass pounding through the club. The hedge fund manager's face went pale. His hand dropped from my wrist like I'd burned him. Turn. Jeffrey K. Hobson stood close enough that I could see the dark ink creeping up from his collar, close enough that his cologne, cedar and something darker, cut through the cloying sweetness of spilled champagne. He wasn't looking at the hedge fund manager anymore. He was looking at me. "Dance with me," he said. Not a question. An inevitability. His tattooed hand extended toward me, and I watched my own fingers reach for his like they belonged to someone braver. The moment our palms touched, the crowd parted. Men in $1,000 suits stepped back. Women with jewelry that cost more than my annual salary turned to stare. The music shifted. Slower, heavier, something that didn't belong in a nightclub but somehow fit perfectly now. Jeffrey pulled me against him with the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. His hand settled at the small of my back, possessive and warm through the thin fabric of my blouse. "You work Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays," he said against my ear. His breath ghosting across my skin. "You read during your breaks. Always mystery novels. And your sister Lily has an appointment at Memorial Hospital tomorrow at 9. My heart stopped. Stopped again. "How do you? Amy J. Morales." He said my full name like he was tasting it, learning its shape. "You've been invisible here for 8 months. But I've been watching." The admission should have terrified me. Instead, Something that had been buried under 9 years of exhaustion and responsibility stirred back to life. The part of me that remembered what it felt like to be seen, to be wanted, to matter to someone beyond what I could provide. Why? My voice came out smaller than I intended. His dark eyes met mine, and I saw something flicker there. Recognition, maybe, or hunger. Because you remind me of someone I used to be. Before I stopped fighting to stay above water. The song ended. He didn't let go immediately. Just held me there in the center of the dance floor with every eye in velvet noir tracking our every breath. Then he released me slowly, deliberately, and pressed a card into my palm. "Marcus will drive you home," Jeffrey said, nodding toward a mountain of a man waiting near the exit. "Call if you need anything." And I do mean anything. The Mercedes was soundproofed luxury. Leather seats that probably cost more than my rent, tinted windows that turned the city into a blur of neon and shadow. Marcus drove in silence, but I caught him watching me in the rearview mirror once. His expression was carefully neutral, but something in his eyes looked almost like sympathy. My apartment felt smaller than usual when I let myself in. Cramped and worn, the kind of place where the radiator clanked and the neighbors fought at 2 a.m. Lily was asleep in the bedroom, her breathing steady, the expensive medications working for now. I stood in the dark kitchen, turning Jeffrey's card over in my hands. Black matte finish. A single phone number embossed in silver. No name. No explanation. Just an invitation to call a man who knew everything about my life. My schedule, my sister's illness, my desperation. A man whose single word had made a drunk executive vanish into the crowd. A man who moved through velvet noir like he owned not just the building, but everyone inside it. Protective employer, or something far more dangerous. I tucked the card into my pocket, but I could still feel its weight there. Like a promise. Like a threat. Like the beginning of something I wasn't sure I'd survive. "Your mother didn't die, Amy. She chose to leave you." Morning light filtered through the apartment's single window, painting everything in shades of tired gray. I stood at the kitchen counter making coffee, trying to convince myself that last night meant nothing. Just an employer protecting an employee. Just a powerful man flexing power. Nothing personal. The bruise on my wrist said otherwise. 5 purple fingerprints from the hedge fund manager. A reminder of exactly how powerless I'd been before Jeffrey intervened. "You're up early," Lily said, shuffling into the kitchen in her oversized sweater. At 16, she should have been worrying about prom dresses and college applications. Instead, she was pale and thin, dark circles under her eyes from another restless night. Chemo day. I poured her coffee with enough cream to hide the bitterness. 9 o'clock at Memorial. She didn't ask about the bruise. We'd learned not to ask about the things that came with serving drinks to drunk men with money. My phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. Asterisk, "You made it home safely." Good, asterisk. My heart did something stupid and inconvenient in my chest. I deleted the text before Lily could see it, but another came through immediately. Asterisk, "I know Lily has treatment today. Let Marcus drive you. 9 a.m. He'll wait outside." Asterisk. "Who is it?" Lily asked, watching me over the rim of her cup. "Work." I shoved the phone in my pocket, but it buzzed again. Asterisk, "No obligations. No debts. Just a car service." "Yes, Amy." Asterisk. How did he know my sister's appointment time? I'd never mentioned it at work, never written it down anywhere someone could see. The knowledge should have terrified me. Instead, something in my chest loosened, just slightly, at the idea of not taking 3 buses to get Lily to the hospital. "We could take a car service," I said carefully. "Someone from the club offered." Lily's eyebrows rose. The mysterious dance partner Marissa texted me about at midnight. I was going to kill Marissa. We don't know him, I continued, ignoring the question. And I don't like owing people. Amy. Lily set down her coffee with the kind of patience that made her seem older than 16. We're $43,000 in debt for treatments that might not even work. We could do worse for mysterious benefactors. The Mercedes arrived at 8:30. Marcus held the door open without speaking. His expression carefully neutral. The interior smelled like new leather and wealth. The kind of car where you didn't worry about potholes or broken suspension. Lily sank into the seat with a sigh of relief. Okay, mysterious benefactor gets points for legroom. For the first time in months, she didn't look scared going to treatment. No cramped bus seats. No strangers coughing nearby. Just smooth, quiet comfort that made the 20-minute drive feel like nothing. Jeffrey was waiting in the hospital corridor when we arrived. He wore a dark suit that probably cost more than my car, back when I'd had a car, and looked completely out of place among the fluorescent lights and antiseptic smell. When his eyes found mine, something in my stomach twisted. Amy. He nodded to Lily. Your sister. Lily, I said tightly. And you didn't need to come. I did actually. He gestured toward a private consultation room. There's something you need to see. Dr. Chen took Lily back for treatment. I followed Jeffrey into the small room, my pulse hammering. He pulled a photograph from his jacket pocket and placed it face up on the table. The woman in the photo was older than I remembered. Gray threaded through her dark hair. Lines creased her forehead. But the eyes, those eyes I'd seen in the mirror every day for 9 years, were unmistakable. No, I whispered. Your mother didn't die, Amy. Jeffrey's voice was gentle in a way that made it worse. She chose to leave you. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table, fingers going numb. This was taken 3 months ago. She's been working in my organization for 7 years under the name Elena Cross. Financial analyst. Access to encrypted files, offshore accounts, trafficking routes. He paused. 2 weeks ago, she stole everything and vanished. My mother. Live. Watching us struggle, watching Lily get sick, watching me work myself into the ground, for 9 years. Why? The word came out broken. I don't know yet. Jeffrey's jaw tightened. But she's put you both in danger. The information she took, people will kill for it. And they'll come looking for leverage. The walls closed in. My vision blurred. Somewhere distant I heard my own breathing. Too fast, too shallow. Amy. Jeffrey's hand found my shoulder, steadying. I need you to understand something. I looked up at him through tears I didn't remember shedding. I have reason to believe she's in serious danger. And so are you. Asterisk, some truths can only be exchanged by those who've lived in shadows. Asterisk. Lily sat on my bed watching me pull on the only dress I owned that didn't smell like spilled vodka. Black. Simple. Apologetic. You're having dinner with a Mafia boss, she said. I'm getting answers about our supposedly dead mother. I struggled with the zipper. There's a difference. Is there? Her voice was small. We'd spent the afternoon crying in shifts. 9 years of grief that turned out to be a lie. Do you think she ever loved us? I didn't have an answer. So I kissed her forehead and promised to be home by midnight. Jeffrey's penthouse occupied the top floor of a building where the doorman wore better suits than I did. He opened the door before I could knock. Dress shirt rolled to his elbows, exposing geometric ink that looked more like armor than decoration. I don't do restaurants, he said, reading my hesitation. Too many ears. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, a million lights pretending to be stars. The space was minimalist, severe. Black leather, chrome glass. Nothing soft except the view. He'd ordered food from somewhere expensive. I pushed fish around my plate while he explained what my mother had stolen. Trafficking routes through 3 states. Offshore accounts in the Caymans. Names of officials on our payroll. Judges, police captains, councilmen. Evidence of a traitor in my organization. His voice was clinical. And details about my brother's murder 5 years ago. Your brother, Marcus. My driver is named after him. Pain crossed his face, quick as a shadow. Your mother had access to files about who ordered the hit. He poured wine I didn't drink, then dropped the next bomb. The anonymous donations to Lily's treatment fund. 23,000 over 8 months. He met my eyes. That was your mother. The room spun. She watched us drown while hiding in plain sight. Amy. She could have come home. Could have told us she was alive. I stood pacing to the windows. The city blurred through tears. Instead she sent money like we were some charity case. Jeffrey moved behind me. Close enough that I felt his heat. Some truths can only be exchanged by those who've lived in shadows, he said quietly. People like your mother. People like me. We make choices that destroy the people we love because the alternative is watching them die. Is that what you're doing? Turn. Destroying me to save me. This started as strategy. His hand lifted, hovering near my face without touching. Getting close to you to draw her out. But it's become something else. What? Something that terrifies me. The air between us crackled. His gaze dropped to my mouth. Mine dropped to his. The space separating us felt both infinite and non-existent. His phone shattered the moment. Jeffrey cursed, stepping back to answer. We have a problem, someone said through the speaker. Marcus drove me home in silence. Halfway out of the car he spoke. Miss Morales. His eyes found mine in the rearview mirror. When Jeffrey Hobson claims something as his, heaven and hell can't touch it. You understand. Understood. Jeffrey had claimed me that first night at Velvet Noir. Everything since had been inevitable. Is that supposed to comfort me? It's supposed to warn you. There's a difference. In my cramped apartment, Lily already asleep, I stood at the window looking at the same city Jeffrey surveyed from his tower. Somewhere out there, the woman who'd raised me, abandoned me, and sent money to keep me breathing was hiding in shadows. And despite everything, the lies, the betrayal, the 9 years of manufactured grief, I realized something that made my chest ache. I wanted to see her again. God help me, I wanted my mother back. Protection and captivity sometimes wear the same face. The call came at 3 a.m. Get Lily. Pack essentials. You have 10 minutes. Jeffrey's voice was cold, controlled. Nothing like the warmth from dinner. Marcus is already on his way. What? Cordova cartel has eyes on your building. Dark SUV, 2 occupants, been there since midnight. Move. Now. My hands shook as I threw clothes into garbage bags. The only luggage we owned. Lily woke confused, frightened, asking questions I couldn't answer. I grabbed her medications, my mother's photograph, the paperback novels that meant nothing and everything. Marcus arrived with 2 men built like walls. They moved through our apartment with tactical precision, checking windows, securing exits. Through the gap in the curtains I saw it. The SUV parked across the street, engine running, windows tinted black. They're not hiding anymore, Marcus said quietly. That's a message. Lily's hand found mine in the darkness. She was trembling. The ride to Jeffrey's penthouse felt like fleeing a crime scene. Every car behind us could be a threat. Every shadow held danger. Lily pressed against my side, silent tears tracking down her pale cheeks. "What is this guy to you?" she whispered. I didn't know how to answer. Employer. Protector. The man who knew my schedule and my secrets and made my pulse race with a single glance. "I don't know," I admitted. "But right now he's keeping us alive." Jeffrey was waiting when the elevator doors opened at dawn. Still dressed from the night before, exhaustion evident in the lines around his eyes. He looked at Lily first, assessing, then at me. "You're safe here. Biometric security, surveillance on every floor, armed guards in the lobby." His voice was gentle despite the words. "No one gets to you without going through me first." "Why are they coming after us?" Lily asked, braver than I felt. "Your mother stole information worth killing for. The Cordova cartel wants it back." Jeffrey's jaw tightened. 9 years ago, she faked her death to protect you from people exactly like them. She thought disappearing would keep you safe. "It didn't," I said flatly. "No, it didn't." Dr. Sarah Chan arrived an hour later with portable equipment for Lily's treatment. "Private oncologist," Jeffrey explained. "She'd administer everything here. No hospital visits, no exposure, no risk." I watched them set up the 4 in what used to be a guest room, now transformed into a makeshift medical suite, and felt the walls closing in. Luxury prison. Gilded cage. Protected but trapped. "I need something from the apartment," I said suddenly, remembering. "A birthday card. Old one in my desk drawer." Jeffrey sent a team immediately. They returned with a shoebox I'd forgotten existed. Cards and letters from over the years. I found it buried at the bottom. "Postcard from Venice. Asterisk happy 25th sweetheart. Aunt Elena asterisk. No aunt. Just a mother watching from shadows." "She never really left," Lily said quietly, reading over my shoulder. "She was always there. Just not with us." Jeffrey stood at the windows overlooking the city, the same spot I'd occupied last night. Now I understood why he'd stared at those lights. Sometimes the view from a tower feels less like power and more like isolation. "We're safe here," I said, testing the words. "Yes. But we can't leave." He turned, and something in his expression looked almost like regret. "Not yet." Protection and captivity sometimes wear the same face. I was learning that lesson in real time. 3 days passed in strange suspension. Lily's treatment continued. We ate meals prepared by a chef who never spoke. I read books I couldn't focus on while armed men patrolled hallways I wasn't allowed to wander. On the 4th morning, Jeffrey found me at the windows, watching the city wake up without us. "Your mother has made contact through an intermediary," he said quietly. "She wants to meet." "You don't decide that. She's my mother." "Absolutely not." Jeffrey's voice was steel wrapped in silk. "She wants you alone. That's not happening. You don't decide that." I stood my ground in his spotless kitchen, fury burning through 5 days of captivity. "She's my mother. She's a thief who painted targets on her daughters' backs." He moved closer, jaw tight. "She doesn't get to make demands after 9 years of playing dead. Then what's the alternative? We hide here forever while she runs. While the Cordova cartel circles." My voice cracked. "If you care about me at all, find a way that doesn't end with my mother dead." Something flickered in his dark eyes. Pain maybe. Recognition. "Amy. What's happening?" Lily appeared in the doorway, pale in her oversized sweater, Dr. Chen's treatment still hooked to her arm. She'd heard everything. I exchanged a glance with Jeffrey. No more hiding. Our mother made contact, I said carefully. She wants to meet. Lily's laugh was brittle. Our mother, who played dead for 9 years, suddenly wants a reunion. She pulled the 4 out herself, ignoring Dr. Chen's protest. I'm coming. Lily, no. We face this together or not at all. Her voice carried the kind of strength that came from surviving poison pumped into your veins every week. You don't get to protect me from this, Amy. She's my mother too. Jeffrey watched us both, calculating. Finally he nodded. Controlled meeting. Neutral location. My security scouts it first. His eyes locked on mine. And I'm there whether she likes it or not. The preparation took hours. Jeffrey's team swept the abandoned Rialto Theater 3 times, checking for explosives, surveillance, ambush positions. The building had been closed for renovations for 2 years, caught in permit hell. Perfect neutral territory. Dr. Chan administered Lily's treatment in tense silence while we waited. I watched the medication drip into my sister's veins and thought about all the times our mother could have been here. Should have been here. You're angry, Lily said quietly. I'm terrified. I took her hand. Of seeing her. Of not seeing her. Of finding out why she left mattering less than the fact that she did. Yeah. Lily's fingers tightened around mine. Me too. The Mercedes felt smaller with all of us inside. Jeffrey sat across from me, dressed in black, looking like violence contained in expensive fabric. Marcus drove in silence. 2 additional security vehicles followed. Lily was pale but determined. Her jaw set in the same stubborn line our mother used to have. My hands shook in my lap. I couldn't make them stop. 10 minutes. Jeffrey said as we pulled up to the theater's service entrance. The building loomed against the evening sky. Art Deco architecture gone to seed, scaffolding like metal bones. You get 10 minutes alone with her. Then I come in regardless of what she wants. Non-negotiable. Okay, I whispered. Amy. He waited until I met his eyes. If anything feels wrong, anything, you run. Understood. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Marcus opened the door. Cold air rushed in, carrying the smell of old buildings and older secrets. Lily climbed out first, chin up, ready to face the ghost who'd abandoned us. I followed her into the dusty theater lobby. Our footsteps echoed on cracked marble. Somewhere deep in the building I heard movement. A door opened in the shadows ahead. And my mother stepped into the dim light. I thought disappearing was the only way to keep you breathing. She waited in the abandoned orchestra pit, surrounded by rotting velvet seats and dust motes that caught the failing light. Older. Harder. Gray threading through dark hair I used to braid as a child. But unmistakable. Amy. Lily. Her voice broke on our names. My girls. 9 years of grief turned to rage in my chest. After letting us believe you were dead. The words came out raw, jagged. After watching Dad drink himself into the grave mourning you. Catherine flinched like I'd struck her. I had debts to the Cordova cartel. Testimony I was going to give that would have destroyed them. Her hands twisted together. They would have used you as leverage. Used you to silence me. I thought disappearing was the only way to keep you breathing. You never stopped watching over you, she continued desperately. The donations. The cards. I've been surveilling from a distance. We needed a mother, not anonymous money. Lily's voice shattered the air between us. Tears streamed down her pale face. I needed you when they told me I had cancer. When I was so scared I couldn't breathe. Where were you? Catherine's composure cracked. Lily, Until you stole files and endangered us anyway. I cut in cold now. So what was it all for? 9 years of abandonment just to paint targets on our backs in the end. I had no choice. The files contained proof that. She stopped, eyes widening as she looked past us. You're under Jeffrey Hobson's protection. Something in her tone made my spine stiffen. What does that mean? Hobson isn't what you think. He's. Time's up. Jeffrey emerged from the shadows with Marcus and 3 other men, moving like smoke given form. The temperature in the theater dropped 10 degrees. Catherine stood slowly, carefully, hands visible. Jeffrey. Elena. His voice was winter itself. Or should I say Catherine? They faced each other across the orchestra pit. 2 predators calculating trajectories, exit strategies, kill shots. I need to tell them the truth, Catherine said quietly. About the Cordova deal. About what really happened to Marcus. Jeffrey went completely still. Don't. Your brother's death wasn't random violence. Catherine's words fell like stones into water. It was sanctioned. Message. And the man who ordered it. I said don't. His hand moved toward his jacket. Marcus and the other security guards shifted positions. Catherine's hand disappeared behind her back. The air crackled with violence about to break loose. In that moment, I saw it clearly. 9 years of lies converging into 30 seconds of bloodshed. My mother's secrets. Jeffrey's vendetta. Lily and I caught between them, collateral damage in wars we never signed up for. Enough. I stepped between them, heart hammering, voice steady. This helps no one. Jeffrey's dark eyes met mine. Amy, move. No. I turned to Catherine. You want to explain. Fine. But not like this. Not with guns and threats and more people dying. You don't understand what's at stake, Catherine said. I understand that I've lost you twice already. I won't survive losing you a 3rd time. I looked at Jeffrey. And I understand that revenge won't bring your brother back. It'll just add more bodies to the count. Silence stretched taut as wire. Lily moved beside me, taking my hand. We deserve the truth, she said quietly. All of it. But we deserve it without bloodshed. Jeffrey lowered his hand slowly. Catherine did the same. The tension didn't break. It just shifted, suspended, waiting. Talk, Jeffrey said finally. But if I don't like what I hear, Elena, not even your daughters will save you. I can't survive losing her twice. The authority in my voice surprised even me. You. I turned to Catherine. You can't buy forgiveness with one meeting or blackmail your way to safety. 9 years of absence doesn't disappear because you're scared now. Her face went pale. And you. Face Jeffrey. Find a solution that doesn't end with my mother dead or disappeared forever. Because I can't survive losing her twice. The theater held its breath. Dust hung suspended in dying light. 2 dangerous people stared at me like I'd grown claws. I'm done being collateral damage in your wars, I continued, voice steady despite my racing heart. I'm done being protected without having a say. If you want me in your life, either of you, then respect that I get to choose what happens next. Jeffrey's expression shifted. The cold calculation melted into something raw. Respect. What do you want? He asked quietly. Negotiation. Not execution. I looked between them. Return the stolen files in exchange for witness protection. Monitored relocation. Supervised family contact. You're asking me to trust him. Catherine's laugh was bitter. I'm asking you both to stop treating us like pawns. Lily moved beside me, chin up. We're not bargaining chips. We're your family. Jeffrey holstered whatever weapon he'd been reaching for. The files. All of them. Unencrypted. Witness protection, Catherine countered. Real protection. Not a bullet in an alley 6 months from now. Done. Jeffrey's jaw tightened. And Lily receives the best cancer treatment available anywhere. No financial limits. Switzerland if needed. The word of Jeffrey Hobson. Catherine's skepticism cut the air. He'll keep his word because breaking it means losing me. I said it with certainty I didn't know I possessed. And he won't risk that. Jeffrey's dark eyes found mine. Something vulnerable flickered there. Something that looked almost like fear. She's right. The admission hung between us. Heavy with meaning. Catherine studied us both, then slowly nodded. Safety deposit box at First National. Encrypted drive. Code is Lily's birth date. We want you in our lives, Lily said quietly. But not as a ghost or a fugitive. As our mother. Even if that's complicated and messy and hurts sometimes. Catherine's composure finally broke. Tears tracked through years of hard living etched on her face. I don't deserve that. No, I agreed. But we need it anyway. She looked at Jeffrey. Two people who'd sacrificed everything for family, made impossible choices, lived in shadows. Something passed between them. Understanding maybe. Recognition of the cost. The drive will be retrieved tonight, Jeffrey said. I'll arrange witness protection through federal contacts. You'll have supervised access to your daughters. Cross me, Anne. I know. Catherine's voice was tired. I've seen what you do to people who cross you. Then we understand each other. Marcus moved forward with a phone, already coordinating logistics. The other security guards relaxed incrementally. The immediate violence had passed. Jeffrey turned to me. And for the first time since I'd met him, he looked uncertain. What happens between us is entirely your choice, Amy. His voice dropped low enough that only I could hear. I won't use your mother or your sister as leverage. I won't manipulate you into staying. If you want to walk away when this is over. Do I look like I'm walking away? Something that might have been relief crossed his face. Might have been hope. Our eyes held. A conversation without words, promises without guarantees. The beginning of something neither of us could name yet, but both of us wanted despite the danger. Lily cleared her throat pointedly. Can we leave this creepy theater now? Mom's crying, I'm exhausted. And I'd really like to process all this family drama somewhere with actual heating. Despite everything, I smiled. Yeah, I said. Let's go home. The first phone call with Catherine lasted 47 seconds. Awkward silences punctuated by careful questions neither of us knew how to answer. I hung up feeling hollow. The second call lasted 3 minutes. By the 5th week, we talked for an hour while I folded laundry and she described her new apartment in witness protection. Small, anonymous, safe. I watched you graduate high school from across the street, she admitted one night. Cried in my car like an idiot. I wish you'd just walked over. My voice broke. I wish you'd chosen us. I did choose you. Just badly. Silence. Then. I'm sorry, Amy. For all of it. It wasn't enough. It was a beginning. Video calls brought Catherine face to face with Lily as she was now. Not the 7-year-old she'd abandoned, but a 16-year-old who'd survived cancer and abandonment both. They talked about books, about the experimental treatment, about nothing important because the important things hurt too much yet. You look like your grandmother, Catherine said once, tears in her eyes. I look like you, Lily corrected quietly. We both do. The Swiss oncology team Jeffrey arranged descended on the penthouse with equipment and credentials that made Dr. Chen look impressed. New immunotherapy protocol. Targeted treatment. Within 3 weeks, Lily's color returned. She started eating without forcing it. The cane gathered dust in the corner. "I can breathe," she said one morning, wonder in her voice. "Like actually breathe without my chest hurting." I cried into my coffee while she laughed at me. Jeffrey and I stopped pretending we were just strategizing. He took me to a gallery opening where we talked about art instead of danger. Quiet dinners at his penthouse where we cooked together. His hands guiding mine through pasta dough, flour dusting my wrists. Walks through the city at dawn when the streets belonged only to us. "I used to sketch," I admitted one night, watching him at the windows. Before everything fell apart. He bought me supplies the next day. Professional-grade pencils, thick paper, charcoal that stained my fingers black. I started capturing the city's bones. Fire escapes and rooflines, the geometry of survival. Jeffrey watched me draw one evening. His expression soft. My brother Antonio wanted to be an architect. He'd sketch buildings on napkins during meetings, drive me crazy. Pain flickered across his face. He died before he could see any of them built. "I'm sorry." I reached for his hand. "Me too." His fingers laced through mine. "I carry him everywhere. The weight never gets lighter, you just get stronger holding it." When he kissed me finally, slowly, deliberately, like he'd been waiting for permission, it felt like something breaking open. Relief, hunger, fear, hope. All of it tangled together in the space between wanting and having. "This terrifies me," I whispered against his mouth. "Me too." His thumb traced my jaw. "But I'm done living in fear." We talked until dawn about power and vulnerability, about what we wanted this to be. Honest, cool, complicated but real. "He's good for you," Lily said the next morning, smirking over breakfast. "You're lighter. Less like you're carrying the world alone." "I never carried it alone. I had you." "Yeah, but now you have help." She gestured toward Jeffrey on the phone, coordinating something in rapid Italian. Hot, dangerous, absurdly wealthy help. Catherine's first supervised visit happened on a Tuesday. She brought chess pieces, a set our father had loved. She and Lily played while I sketched them, capturing the hesitant rebuilding of something precious and broken. "This isn't forgiveness," Lily said to her. "Not yet." "I know," Catherine replied. "But maybe it's a start." That night, Jeffrey found me at the windows watching the city lights. "Come to Italy with me," he said quietly. "Let me show you where I'm from. The villa where Antonio and I grew up. The places that made me." I turned, saw hope and fear warring in his dark eyes. "Okay," I whispered. "Show me." Sometimes broken pieces reassemble into something stronger. The villa overlooked Lake Como like a painting hung against mountains, all terracotta and climbing wisteria, the kind of beauty that made you believe in second chances. I sat on the terrace with my sketchbook, capturing the way light turned water into liquid silver. Behind me, through open French doors, laughter drifted out. Lily and Catherine playing chess, their heads bent together over pieces that had survived 9 years of separation. My sister's hair had grown back thick and dark, her cheeks flushed with health that still felt miraculous. The Swiss treatment had worked. She had a future now. College applications submitted, dreams expanding beyond survival. "Checkmate," Lily declared, triumphant. "You're ruthless," Catherine said, but she was smiling. Learning to be a mother again, imperfect, awkward, present. The monitoring restrictions had eased as trust rebuilt slowly. She'd never be the mother we'd lost, but she was becoming the mother we needed now. I turned back to my sketch, the mountains purple in the distance, the villa's bones, the geometry of a life I'd never imagined having. 6 months ago, I'd been invisible at Velvet Noir, grinding myself hollow. Now I was here, art reclaimed, family reassembled differently but real. "You're thinking too hard." Jeffrey's voice came from behind me, warm with affection. "I can see it from inside." I smiled without turning. "Just remembering. The dance." He moved onto the terrace, and my heart did that stupid flutter it still did every time. "Everything after." I set down my pencil. "How far we've come from that night." He'd shed the severe suits for linen shirts that softened his edges. But when he smiled, the rare, genuine one reserved only for me, he transformed. Danger became warmth. Power became protection freely given, not taken. "Come here," he said softly. I went to him like gravity, his arms settling around me with the kind of certainty that came from 6 months of learning each other. The kiss tasted of promise and possibility, salt air and second chances, the future we were building together. "When you said, 'Hold my arm, they think you're mine,'" I murmured against his mouth. "I thought you were claiming me." "I was." His thumb traced my jaw. "But not as possession. Choice. Mine to protect. Mine to love. But always yours to stay or go." I'd been taken that night at Velvet Noir, seen, marked, claimed by a man whose world was violence and shadows. But in accepting his help, accepting his love, accepting that I didn't have to carry everything alone, I'd found the parts of myself I'd buried under 9 years of duty. Through the open doors, Lily's laughter rang out. Catherine said something that made them both giggle. A family reassembled from broken pieces into something new. Something stronger. "I love you," I said, testing the words that had terrified me for months. Jeffrey's expression softened entirely. "I know. I love you too." The mountains turned amber in the dying light. My sketchbook lay open on the table, half-finished drawings of a life that was finally, impossibly mine. Lily healthy and whole inside. Catherine learning forgiveness one chess move at a time. Jeffrey's arms steady around me. I'd moved from survival to living. From closed fist to open hand. From invisible to irrevocably seen. "Thank you," I whispered. "For what?" "For that first dance. For refusing to let me disappear." I turned in his arms. "For showing me that being taken could mean being found." His kiss was answer enough. And in that taking, in that being claimed and claiming back, I had somehow found myself at last. Thank you so much for watching Amy and Jeffrey's story. If you'd like to continue the journey, the next story awaits. Until next time. Stay visible. Stay brave. Stay loved.